he was fed and he grew and all of that kind of stuff. But you had to get creative, right? Because there
Mhm.
wasn't money to be buying all kinds of stuff or going on trips or those sorts of things. So it was very important to spend the time to make him the priority, to make fun with him a priority.
Hello, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to my podcast, Renew Motherhood. And this episode is The Secrets of Mastering Your Life as a Single Mom. And I like to welcome my special guest, Jackie Mott. And I'd like to hand it over to you. Please briefly introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you from? What makes
Oh,
you special?
all right. Thank you. Well, my name is Jackie Mott. I am in Canada. I actually live not very far from Toronto, which most people are aware of that name. I don't live very far from there. I am, what am I? I am so many things like everyone else, right? I am a master life coach. I am a best-selling author. I am a speaker. I'm so many different things. And of course, then there's the personal life. I am and was for a long time a single mother. I'm now a mother to an adult son. I think he's 35 years old, which really freaks me out when I think about it. And also I take care of my mom. So there are a lot of different hats that we all wear, aren't there?
Yes, great. So I love this. So different hats, but you told me a bit of your life story and it sounds amazing. So I think a lot of mothers can relate to this. You have been a single mom with 17 years old.
Yes, yes.
And how
I
could you master this period of life? Do you like to share a little around this?
Sure, sure. So this was not exactly good news. 17 years old, becoming a mom, didn't have an education. I didn't have a partner, or at least not a solid partner. And there really wasn't a whole lot of opportunity at that point. But there was a time during the pregnancy where I considered, giving my son up for adoption because I thought that might be the smart thing to do, but I just couldn't do it. I just could
Mhm.
not bring myself to do it. And I'm glad I didn't. I wouldn't change a thing at this point. I'm so glad that he has been part of my life now for such a long time. He is my pride and joy and has just given me so much joy. And also, I learned so many things from him as, being so young,
Mhm.
learned so much from the process of becoming a mom at that age. It wasn't easy. We went on welfare. We got a little apartment and went on welfare for a few years. I got an education and eventually I went on to get an accounting diploma
Mhm.
and have been working in that field for over 25 years now. So it wasn't easy, but I wouldn't change a thing. And I think many of us moms can relate to that.
What's the special one? So if you say I wouldn't change, I know I just can't relate to this. I wouldn't change a thing either, even if it was, yeah, there were some challenging parts. But is there anything yet that you like to share? What was special? What you say, oh, if I wouldn't have this, I would miss it.
Oh my goodness. So I think about now again, my son is now an adult, so it's it's a bit of a different stage at this point, but I think about stuff sometimes. I remember when he was small and the bath times and the reading stories. We didn't have any money, right? I was on welfare. I barely could keep a roof over our head at that point, but I did. And he was fed and he grew and all of that kind of stuff, but you had to get creative, right? Because there
Mhm.
wasn't money to be buying all kinds of stuff or going on trips or those sorts of things. So um, it was very important to spend the time to make him the priority, to make fun with him a priority. And the blessing I think of being as young as I was when I became a mom was that I still had so much energy
Yeah.
that I could chase him around the park and tickle fights and all of that kind of I just wouldn't change a thing. He brought so much joy, so much joy. And you hear your children laugh, and you hear your children talking about things that excite them, because there's so many different phases of motherhood as they grow up, right? He's just started a new job right now, and it's so exciting to watch him in this new position where he's doing something that he loves. There's just so much. Like,
Brings
honestly, I
it
wouldn't
back.
change a thing.
All the joy comes back to you. So the
Mm.
joy that he feels comes back to you as a mother, and to be proud of, to go through those challenges and
Right,
accept it and say, okay, let's make the best of this situation. I think
right.
this is a strength because I can imagine that there are mothers who say, I can't do this, and
Mm,
just quit somehow.
hmm
So
hmm
what would be your advice to go through this? Is there a special power that you had? Is there anything that
I think I just always held on to my faith. I
Mhm,
always, always, always held on to that. If I kept moving forward to the best of my ability, if I kept trying, if I kept doing the best I could, that things had to improve. They
yeah.
just had to improve. It was a very big deal when I got my first job out of school and I could buy, produce in the middle of the month.
Hmm.
That was a very big deal because there had been such a period of time, and man, did I ever get good at stretching a dollar. Oh my goodness. We ate well. All things considered, we ate well, but you had to be creative. Again, it's that creativity, that what can I make out of these I have these pieces of food.
Hmm.
What can I do with them to make a healthy meal for my child? But I think it was the faith, and also just the belief that he deserved the very best that I could give him. And that, I think, became a driving force for me in pushing me to move forward, pushing me to try harder, to become more.
Yeah.
Because of course, at 17, you're not formed yet. You're not grown yet. You don't have the abilities that you develop over your adult life. You just don't have that.
Yes.
So just that belief system that it could get better, it would get better. I had to just keep trying. And he deserved the very, very best that I
Mm.
could possibly give him.
And you gave because you have given him time, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and to be present as a mother, I think it's a wonderful thing to really do, to step into this and to say, I am
Mm.
here for you and nothing else. So I think this is powerful.
Oh,
To
yes. Oh, yes. I
really,
think my favorite part of the day when he was young was story time at night.
mm,
Because you're busy, 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 busy all day long. And then he'd have his bath time. And that was because I didn't have money to reward him. So that was his reward, was
mm,
if he was well behaved that day, that he would get an extra story. So the number of stories that he got at bedtime was actually related to his rewards. And we would sit there all, cuddled up in his bed and read these stories. We had favorite stories that we read all the time. And that is my favorite part of that period of my life, was just that time with him curled up and reading stories together.
wonderful. Oh, I
Mhm.
love this. Yes, I can imagine. My children are now also, well, between 9 and 19.
Yes.
And the first time, I cannot imagine that my eldest one is having her baby
Oh my
with
gosh, I
19.
know.
It frightens me a little.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, I can totally relate to this, to say, okay, let's read some stories in bed just before you go to sleep and cuddle a little and have a cozy, yeah, just
Yeah.
a cozy place to be together and to
Yes.
guide the children to a good sleep also,
Hmm.
so that they can feel safe, supported. So, oh, about support, have you got some support from the outside in this?
There was some. There wasn't a lot, but there was some. I had family members that would step in periodically and help out.
Mhm.
Um, mostly, I mean, I met my former husband. I met him when I was 19. So the first 2 years was pretty much him and me.
Mhm.
There was it was just the two of us with some help from outside. Um, but yeah, no, I didn't really have and interesting because we think about stuff in the way that we think about it, and we don't often understand. I had a conversation with a longtime friend. I knew her before I ever became pregnant,
Mhm.
and she called me up. I don't even know. I'm going to say about 6 months ago. She called me up one day. She was very upset. And I said, well, what's the matter? And she said, I just realized, that what you were going through
Mhm.
when you were at that phase. And I wish that I had been there more. But the truth is, I mean, I was 17, 18 years old. What do you do at 17 and 18 years old? You go out and you do things and I don't know, you do things.
Mhm.
And that wasn't my world. I didn't have the space or the time or the money or the babysitting or any of that stuff. I
Yeah.
did sometimes, but not very often. So we have to honor, in my humble opinion, we have to honor where we're at, but we also have to honor where other people are at,
Mhm.
because she was off figuring out who she was while I was changing diapers and making dinners and having
Yeah.
bath times and sleep, right? All of that kind of stuff.
Yeah. You
Mhm.
were in a different field now, and she was staying in her life actually,
Yes.
and in her place, and you were moving on to become a mother and to explore another field actually,
Yes.
because from the inside is it has to develop too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the growth that we gain, there's so much that we gain from motherhood. There's just so much. The growth and the learning. And if you can be open to the lessons that your children can teach you,
Hmm.
they say sometimes the wisest things when you're just having a conversation or even a bath time or something, and they say something and you just, wow,
Where does this come
wow,
from?
right, right. I think that's the key, is just to be, as you said, present and bear witness, almost, bear witness to who they are and who they are becoming, and honor, as much as you can, honor who they naturally are, because they're a unique creature. And how wonderful
Yes.
is that, right? Like,
Yeah,
oh, how
I
wonderful
love
that
this.
this unique creature came from my body. How amazing and miraculous is
Wow.
that?
Yes, I love this.
Mm,
Actually, to give birth to someone new and someone that you don't know. You don't
yes.
know how this small baby was small from the body, but
Mm,
not small from the mind and the spirit and everything,
right.
how this will develop. And you are a part of this guidance and
Yep.
this life to make the path that it can develop. So I think this is wonderful to be, yes, to embrace motherhood.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What would you say has been your biggest mistake? So
Oh.
I always think we
Mm.
learn from mistakes, but sometimes I think we don't have to learn from our mistakes. We can learn from other mistakes too.
So for me, I think, and funny because my son and I were just talking about this the other day. I don't really, in all honesty, I don't waste a lot of time or energy on regrets, because
Mhm.
I don't think it's productive. Let's say it
Yeah.
that way. I don't think it's productive to do that. But acknowledging is a different thing.
Mhm.
And as we were talking the other day, I said to him, the one thing that I wish I could change, if I could go back and I could change anything, the one thing that I would give you that I didn't, because I didn't understand the importance
Mhm.
of this when you were young, is stability.
Mhm.
Stability was not, oh, it was so. And I mean, he's very, very clear on, I was young and I did the very best that I could for him. He understands that. But that is one thing that I wish that I could go back and give him was just that solid home. So like we live here, we have these are our friends, all of that kind of stuff because we moved around. We
Hmm.
moved around all over the place. So he would, have a few friends in this location, but
Hmm.
then we would move over to the other side of the city. And of course, then, I didn't even have a car at the time. So trying to stay in touch with those friends was difficult at best.
Hmm.
And then he'd make a few friends there. And then, oh, something would happen and we would move someplace else. And
Yeah.
so I wish that I had given him more stability in his younger years because I think that's very, very important. And also, I wish that I had trusted myself more.
Ah, okay.
I wish that I had trusted myself more because the guidance of other people, they can be very well meaning.
Hmm.
I'm not faulting anybody, but the guidance of other people may be true and correct for them and their circumstances and their lives, but it doesn't necessarily translate well into our circumstances and our lives. And as mothers, I believe that we know our children better than anyone else on the planet. We know what they need, we know what will help them and what will not help them. And I just didn't trust myself yet
Yes,
to
wonderful.
make those decisions and follow through um, on what I knew would
Yeah.
be better for him.
Yeah, wonderful. I love this. Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is what I would always say, trust yourself, have
Mm-hmm.
faith in yourself, and follow your intuition in this field. But if you're not aware of it, and if you are focusing on the outside always, you lose yourself.
Yeah,
And then it's difficult to find your own path if you always collect the advices from the outside and not listening to your voice, not listening to
right,
your own voice and follow it. So
right,
sometimes it even feels not good if you take an advice and you're doing it and you think, oh, well, you're not thinking, but you have got a feeling of, "Ooh, okay, I have to do this.
right,
Because telling me this, it must be right, even if it's
right,
an expert from the outside. But
right,
if you got another feeling, don't follow the expert, follow your own path.
right, right. I think that we must learn how to trust ourselves. That is so, like, for everything, not like absolutely for motherhood, but for everything, we've got to learn how to discern, how to listen to that voice inside, that whether it's intuition, I don't even know what to call it right now, but there's a
Mhm.
voice. There's a
Yeah,
voice inside us that will tell us what is correct, what is incorrect, what is best for us and what is not.
right. Yeah.
And we must learn how to listen to that.
Oh, I love
And
this.
I'll give you a phrase that I now use. I'll take that under advisement. Or thank you. Thank you for sharing your thoughts with me.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I go and figure out what's right for me.
Right, right. That's great. Yes, I love this. It's a good one.
Mm,
Yeah. And keep your own thoughts around this. So
mhm,
this is crucial, I think. But
mhm,
the one thing is really that I experienced that you can grow if you become a mother, if you are, yes, having your first child or a few children, doesn't matter. You have got the ability to really grow if you accept it and if you are willing to. Well,
mm,
you can you can give the responsibility away to anyone else,
mm,
to grandparents, to school, to doctors, to I don't know, on the outside. But this doesn't make you grow.
right.
But on the other side, you have got now the opportunity. So don't give this opportunity away. I think it's wonderful to
Yes,
to
yes.
step into.
Absolutely. And I mean, guidance from outside, right? There's nothing wrong with taking guidance. And Lord knows, I mean, motherhood is not an easy job. And especially if it's your first child and it's new and you're learning so many things and you're not probably getting enough sleep and all of
Yeah.
those things that we've all been through, right? The guidance from outside can be very, very helpful.
Yeah.
And make sure that you check in with yourself
Yes.
and make sure that that guidance actually fits your
Yeah.
circumstances as well.
Yes. Yes. I could just, yeah, emphasize this. I totally agree with you
Mm,
in this field. So, but I find this interesting that you said, oh, I just talked to my son a few days
mm.
ago or something. What could you change? And have you talked about this topic too? What is his perception in this field to say, I wish I could have more stability for you? Did he perceive this too?
I don't know that he necessarily perceived it. And I think I don't know if challenge is the right word for this, but one of the things that I find is when he and I talk about, particularly about his childhood, there's almost this piece of him that wants me to feel better. Don't feel guilty, mom. It's okay. You did the best you could.
Okay. Mhm.
Right. Um, and I've been really, I mean, as a coach, right? This is what we do. And naturally what we do is we want to support other people. We want to hear about their challenges. We probably want to hear about their perspective and maybe their pain, because until we get down to the actual pain, we can't start to heal things that we don't acknowledge.
Yes.
So for him, there has been, his biological father was not involved in his life.
Hmm.
And it's hurt him.
Hmm.
It's hurt him. And unfortunately, my ex-husband, although I believe he did his best,
Hmm.
he wasn't that ideal dad
Hmm.
person either. So there are things that mm, there are spaces where things could have been filled in better in his life.
Hmm.
And now that he's an adult, and this is the beautiful thing, because if you're in the early stages of parenthood, if you're a new mom or your kids are really young, it's all kinds of fun. It's also really hard.
Hmm.
But eventually they become their own self-sufficient people.
Hmm.
And that is such a wonder to see. It is such a beautiful thing to see them emerging and growing as adults. And we have sometimes the deepest conversations. It is so beautiful how we can talk about these things. And also from there's the logical side, there's not a ton of emotion sometimes. You're just saying, I really wish that if I could wave a magic wand and I would go back, these are a few things that I would do differently. But also, he's at a stage right now where he's thinking about, maybe I want to be a father at some point.
Hmm. Yes,
So
right.
these are beautiful conversations, because then, you can impart your wisdom. These are the things that I learned as a parent,
Hmm.
and you can share that then with them as an adult child. That also helps them to think about their own possible parenting style.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's great. Yes. And I think it's wonderful that you have got such a good relationship. So this isn't necessarily happened too, but I think you have done something for this to get this relationship, right? To spend the
Yeah.
time and to be there and to nurture this relationship, not to just let it, but to step into it and strengthen it.
Well, I mean, he really is, I believe, the most important person on the planet
Mhm.
to me,
Yeah.
right? To me, he is the
Yeah.
most important person on the planet. Um, and it matters to me. It matters to me that we have a good relationship. It matters to me that he feels seen and heard and appreciated, all of those sorts of things. So yes, I would say that I have And what just popped into my head as I'm saying this is I've also worked on my own stuff. I've also done a lot of work on my own healing,
Mhm.
which then allows me to show up from a place of acknowledging where I could have done better rather than beating myself up and being hard on myself or feeling guilty or all of that kind of stuff, right? Because
Right.
when we do our own healing work, then we can show up differently for the people who matter to us,
Yes, that's wonderful.
right? So I think it's two-pronged. Yes, the relationship. And by the way, we went through, holy cow, his his teen years were not easy.
Yeah.
And we went through a very difficult, there wasn't a tight connection when he was young.
Okay.
So there's also hope. By the way, if you go through those kinds of, there's always hope that you can reconnect and become close again.
Wow. Yeah, that's nice. I love
Mm.
this. So actually, what would be your number one advice for women, for mothers who are in a similar situation like you are, like you have been?
Which one?
You're just saying
Uh,
what I'm thinking of is to see actually if you are in this situation and you have got these challenges and you feel disconnected,
mhm.
you say, okay, it's hope, but also what comes in my mind is to think about it might be just a period of time.
Oh, yes. Oh,
It can
yes.
change.
Yeah. I mean, if you even think about yourself, so just as a human being, not as a mom, not as a wife, not as a anything, but just as a person, we all go through different phases, right? I'm now 52 years old. I'm in a completely different place in my life than I was when I was 20.
Yeah, yes.
Right? I've learned, I've grown, I've changed, I've developed, you know. Um, so yes, very, very good advice. Thank you. Is to remember that there are all of these phases. And also, I've got a client, you just made me think of this. I've got a client that I work with, and she's got two teenagers at home. And boy, oh boy, sometimes, right? Boy, oh boy, sometimes they challenge her. And I remember us when the first, so her daughter is a little bit older, and when her daughter started into this teenage yee, kind of crazy stuff, it was just like, okay, all you can do is love her.
Hmm.
All you can do is love her, and sometimes loving her means that you're going to put very strong boundaries
Hmm.
around what's okay and consequences and all of. And by the way, that's part of being a loving parent is by showing them. um I've got this. Okay, so I'm just going to say what's coming up for me is I love you too much to allow you to become that or to
Hmm.
behave that way. I love you too much.
Yeah, wonderful.
Right? The consequences for our behavior are, I mean, they're everywhere. We all face them. So when we don't put the boundaries and the consequences, especially for these kids that are going through this natural separation period,
Hmm.
right? Teenage years are all about becoming who I am, and figuring out who I am. And there is a very natural separation that has to happen from our parents in order for us to accomplish that.
Yeah.
And as the parents, it's still that stability that I love you and I'm not going to allow you to throw your life away,
Hmm.
right? I'm going to consequence your bad choices or your bad behaviors. And I'm still here and I'm going to love you no matter what.
Yes, wonderful.
Mm.
And it's the place of becoming aware that your teenage children are not adults and you are still responsible and you have got to take this responsibility to protect them,
Yes.
right? So
Yes.
don't forget if they say, "Oh, I can do this alone and I want to be alone," and yes, but
Yes, but I like it.
Well, you
Yes.
on the one hand side, you want to give them the space and to let them. On the other hand side, don't let them do everything.
Right.
So just well, I always say I'm an observer. I
Mhm.
like to observe what they're doing. And if I've got a feeling of, oh, it's going in the wrong direction, I just follow up with a conversation to say, hey, what are you doing here?
Yes.
So
Yes.
to give them the space to say, okay,
Mhm.
go, 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 make your own experiences. I'm here to catch you up if something gets wrong. But if I see there is something not right here, I just like to tell them, okay, please have a look at this.
Mhm.
What might happen if you follow this route, this path, or is this really something that you want?
Mhm. Mhm.
So that they can think about it. And this actually makes them aware of the things too.
Yes. And responsible,
Yeah, yeah,
right? Because then, I mean, they can still choose that behavior,
yeah,
right? And if they choose that behavior, then they're choosing whatever consequences come from that behavior.
right. Yes.
We can't stop them and we can't control people. We can't stop our children
Yeah.
from making bad choices. We can't do it.
And I think it doesn't feel good to
No,
do.
God, no. Oh no. No, it does not. I mean, it's that thing of watching someone that you love so much do things that you know are going to cause them a problem. I mean, I think back sometimes to me being 16 years old and telling my mother that I was pregnant,
No.
right? Right? She's,
Yeah.
oh boy, now this child of mine is having a baby,
Mm.
right? I can't imagine that was easy for her either, but it's part of the gig. It's part of being a mother is that our children are going to do they're going to do things that we don't understand. They're going to do things that we don't agree with. And we've just got to be there to love them no matter what. I mean, your daughter is so fortunate to have you there as she's going through this pregnancy. I'm sure that you are such a support to her and such a loving influence. And wow, that baby. Oh, blessed baby. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Oh wow. So if people work with you, what can they expect from you?
So
How do you work with them?
Oh, I work with people in all kinds of different ways. I'm actually really excited. I think I shared this with you when we spoke before. I have a new program that I'm working on right now, and it will be launching in the fall. I don't have the exact date yet because we're still putting all of the pieces together. But this program is actually it's going to be about money.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
So the education that I mentioned, I'd gone and gotten an education in accounting.
Yes.
And so now I've got my coaching certifications, I've got my accounting. And what I just realized a few months ago is that I could put this all together and
Mhm.
create a program to help people understand money and learn how to manage their own mindset, their own triggers, their own things that are influencing how they are with their money. And I'm very excited about this. So it will be a 12-week program. And again, it's going to be starting in the fall. If anybody would like to talk about this, they can find me on Facebook. It's just Jackie Mott, Mindset and Empowerment Expert right now. So they can look on Facebook and find me, and I will be posting updates as we get closer to launch. And I'm sure that there will be some sort of a webinar or class or something that will be virtual before that. So that's one of the things that I'm very excited about. But I've been doing this coaching thing, in all honesty, I've been doing this coaching thing my whole life without knowing it, right?
Yes.
Without knowing it. And a friend of mine said that to me a few years ago. She said, why don't you do this for a living? Every time I
Doing it
talk to
anyway. So
you, right? Every time I have a problem, I come to you and I talk to you and I feel better when I'm done. And so when people work with me, I am not the type of coach who is going to give you a list of do's and don'ts and yeses and nos. I'm going to support you and help you to make the decisions that are correct for you. I'm
Mhm.
going to empower you. I'm going to teach you how to trust yourself.
Mm-hmm.
All of these things that we've been talking about, how to
Yes.
know when you are making the right decisions and maybe when you're going off the rails. And by the way, please don't beat yourself up if you go off the rails, because I'll give you this tip. A rocket is off course 95% of the time.
Yes.
So we are always in a position where we need to be prepared to course correct as we go. We learn, we get new information, and then we correct, and then we get more information, we correct again. It's
Yeah.
all a journey. It's all a journey. You don't have to be perfect. You don't expect yourself to not make mistakes.
Yeah.
This is life.
Yes. Unfortunately, we are not taught to, right?
No,
So
no.
we have to relearn this.
Yes. Yes, and that's the beautiful thing, right? That's the beautiful thing, because as long as we're still here, we still have the opportunity every single day. We still have the opportunity to learn something new, to meet a new person, to explore a new opportunity, to have a conversation with a beautiful lady in Germany that we didn't even know a month ago, right? There's
That's the beauty of
always
podcasts.
there's always new opportunities to learn and grow and become.
Mhm. Yeah,
Mm,
I love this. This is really a good advice, I think, for everyone. So it's not only for mothers, it can be for fathers, it can be for people who don't have children, for young ones, for old ones. So it's a journey. And if
yes.
you can consider life as a journey to say, okay, I do my mistakes, I have to learn something,
Mm,
I grow, I go further, and just don't forget to find the joy in it, right?
yes. Yes, laughter as much as possible. So I know you can't see the whole sign,
Not the
but this
destination.
sign says happiness is not a destination, it is a way of life.
Yeah.
When I saw that, I had to bring it home. It had to become part of my office because it is so true. It's all a journey.
Yes.
Mm.
It's so easy said, and sometimes you don't know how to step into. And this is the part I think it's crucial to have people like you who say, hey, reach out.
Yes,
Let's do
absolutely.
this together.
Absolutely. Well,
I
sometimes,
know where you are. I've been there.
yeah, sometimes all we need is that person who can uh, are you familiar if I say hold space? Do you understand what I mean by holding space?
Yes.
Okay, so sometimes that's all we need.
Yes.
I don't need, I'm a smart lady. You're a smart lady. We don't always need someone to tell us what to do. Sometimes we just need a soft place to land
Mhm.
and the space to figure out what our next move is.
Mhm.
Right.
Right.
When I was going through my divorce, that was really tough. And that was more than anything, the friends that I so appreciate, that was more than anything, the biggest gift that they gave me was just being there to allow me to talk about how I felt, and no judgment, right? Talk about how I felt. Sometimes if they had advice, they would offer it,
Mhm.
but very often it was just about that. I just need someone to help me feel like I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's nice. Wow.
Hmm.
What a treasure to have those friends around you.
Right? Yes, I'm very blessed. I'm very,
Yeah.
very blessed.
Wonderful. Jackie, I think we could talk for hours.
Yes.
So wonderful to have you here on my podcast. And I'm so grateful to get to know you. Thank you very much for being my guest here.
Oh, thank you. It's been wonderful.
And yes, for all the listeners, stay tuned. These guests are so amazing, and it's not finished. It's just this episode that's finished, but it will go on. So stay tuned and have an awesome day.
Thank you.